Did the Chicago Bulls turn down a first round pick for Lonzo Ball because they did not want to take back long term money? We can talk about it all and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, hosted by Haize, your number one spot for all things Chicago Bulls.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into it for today, y'all. And just quick update here. We're still going to do all our game day things, but this one came out from John Hollinger as well as Daryl Morey, but came out from Stein. I think is what it came out from first. Is that the Chicago Bulls apparently turned down a first round pick for Lonzo Ball. Now, here's the thing, right? I'm all for keeping Lonzo. I think I said that when the re-signing of Lonzo was announced. I like the idea of keeping Lonzo around as a veteran piece and all those type of things. But when it comes down to it now, like the fact that the Bulls had a first-round pick on the table for a player that's been extremely injured over the last 2 years. Yes, we signed him to a reasonable 2-year, $20 million contract. But this once again has to ask the question, how committed is Arturas Karnisovas really to a direction, right? Now, here's the thing. A first-round pick for Lonzo when you're rebuilding is huge, right? It's huge. Now, I'll say this. Maybe the Chicago Bulls look at it and they feel that if that first-round pick value is there, it could be there for Lonzo again next year, especially with his contract being only $10 million. Maybe that's what it comes down to, right? But you still got to John Hollinger of The Athletic reported this, right? And it does not make any sense that they would turn down the deal. This is the quote. Nikola Vucevic is 34, having his best season and is still here. According to a league source, the Bulls had a firm offer to get a first-round pick and take on future money for Lonzo Ball and extended him instead. Good news, though, 12 of the Bulls players are signed for next season. They can just re-sign Josh Giddey and run it back and chase the play-in. Yay. And this is frustrating, right? Because this is what the Bulls have done. A first-round pick back for Lonzo could have been huge. Now, we don't know what year the first-round pick was in, if it was in 2025, in 2026, or maybe further out. But while Lonzo is good, like I think most Bulls fans like Lonzo in the production that he has, he's literally not played a game since signing his extension for the Chicago Bulls, right? And if you had a first-round pick value for a player that's been as injured as Lonzo Ball has over the last few years, and you passed on that value, that to me is just idiotic. There's not really any excuse for that. Are you committed to going and trying to gain assets and going through a rebuild, or are you not committed to it? That's what it comes down for this team, right? To chase the play-in. That's the way that this Bulls team is viewed. To chase a play-in. It's unfortunate. It's sad. It's silly. And you know what? It's downright as a team that it's like you got to stop having your foot in both areas. You got a first-round pick back for Lonzo and you did not take it. That's downright incompetence. Now, as I said before, you guys know I like to look at things from all perspectives and all sides, right? Maybe, just maybe, they look at this and they say, all right, bet. There's a first-round pick value for Lonzo. If he stays healthy for the rest of the season and is healthy up until next year at the trade deadline, we can get that first-round pick back. At that point, he's an expiring contract. He has a team option after that. Maybe it's what it comes down to, right? But you got to stop falling in love with the play-in. You got to stop falling in love with the play-in. How do you consistently see that you have made no forward progress because of the play-in and you continue to stay in that lane? It's just you got to commit to it, right? And that was the thing in deciding to move on and deciding to go the route of saying, all right, bet. We are going to be committed to going younger, developing through the draft, doing things the right way that we should have done it before. And you have an opportunity to solidify that vision and you decided to not take a first-round pick? A first-round pick. I need more info. Feels like it's shit on Bulls time, but if it was Bill in the first, I wouldn't take it either. But that's the thing. Couldn't have been Bill in the first. because those contracts don't match. The Bulls don't have that ability to come back. Now, it was future money, right? But here's the thing, and this is the thing about the Bulls' reluctance to take back future money. Who the hell are you going to sign with the cap space? What free agent in their right mind with the state that the Chicago Bulls are going to be in is going to say, yep, bet Chicago, that's the place for me? Now, if Matas develops, if your first round pick this year develops, right, then maybe you'll start being into a place of being able to garner some free agents. But the Bulls, even at our height, was never really a huge free agent attraction. We just have never been that. So you're betting on future cap flexibility for what? Now, we do got players that we need to re-sign. Maybe those are things that would have limited that, right? You got Io, Kobe, and those type of things to look out for. Maybe. But it's silly again, man. It's silly again. This doesn't make any sense, man. This really doesn't make any sense. And it's really disappointing, right? Man, I love Lonzo, but trading him for a first-round pick, I'll take it. The front office is a joke. They should put me as GM. Well, that's funny, Chris. If it's a 25th to 30th pick for him, I'd rather keep Lonzo. But if it was like 10th to 15th, no. Let me get this supernatural. You still take the first-round pick because let's say you have a player that you want to move up from, and let's say you want to move 2 spots up. Let's say the Bulls pick at 10th, but they want to move 2 spots up to draft who they want at number 8. If you can combine your first round, your 10th pick and a pick in the 20s to move up to get your guy that you feel is a superstar, that's the flexibility, right? This is also a deep draft. Somebody like Hugo Gonzalez, who was initially projected to be a top 10 pick, can be gotten with 25. So in most situations, I would agree with you. But with the depth of the next 2 drafts, I don't. Because the depth of the next 2 drafts put you in a different spot. Put you in a different spot. So that's what I look at when it comes down to that. It's not just about who you get with that pick. It's about how you use the combination of assets. That's what it comes down to. Bro, they turned down the first. Even if it was pick 29, they should have taken it and ran. I love Zoe, but the risk of injury history, even prior to his bone bruise, that first would have been better. It's what it is. It's what it is. My man, I told you so. They haven't picked the lane. Bro, listen. As more information comes out, y'all know I'm not afraid to tell y'all I was wrong. Now, I think that they've still picked a lane in the sense that they're just going to let whatever happens, but they haven't picked a lane as far as let's be committed to gaining assets and then using those assets to get younger players and see what we can develop. So I agree with you, like 100%. With this news, I can't even argue. I can't put it. And that's the thing that's so frustrating about this front office, really, is that any positive argument that you can make for this front office, they make a decision to where it makes it look stupid, to where you can't possibly look at this front office and be like, yeah, I support them because of this. That's the place that it sits at, man. It's really frustrating. No, it's AK being AK, you being nice. I don't need further explanation. This is who he is, dumb and always going for that 10 seed, man. Listen, I can't argue it. I can't argue it. I'm just effing done with Acme. Everyone's clowning Nico for trading Luka, and rightfully so. But Acme has been doing stupid shit like that or doing nothing at all for years. Well, here's the thing. The Luka thing is going to be way worse than anything the Chicago Bulls did. They had a top 5 player in the NBA that they traded, and they traded him for, because of conditioning, a huge injury risk that didn't even make it a full 1 game before getting injured and possibly missing an extended period of time. So that's still worse, but I definitely get what you're getting at for sure, bro. My 5-year-old son is a better GM than the Bulls GM. Man, listen, killing them. Haize, remember these are the same MFers that turned down the first-round pick for Alex Caruso and decided to trade him away for Josh Giddey. What's the soonest you think AK would be fired or quit? I don't think – listen, I've said it before. Somebody asked this last night. I don't think – like John Paxson having the forethought to be like, listen, I can't do this anymore. I don't think AK has it. AK – is so confident he's the smartest person in the room that I don't, with any confidence, don't think AK is going to look at anything and be like, yep, it's time for me to make my exit. It's time for me to make my exit. So I don't know, bro. And the way that the ownership has shown itself is that it's always going to bet on this president of basketball operations. But now they could possibly get more with the more team-friendly contract he has now. That's not necessarily true, bro. I don't think you're going to get more than a first-round pick for Lonzo. Like, you think a team's going to offer a first and a second? They're definitely not going to offer 2 firsts. So I don't think that you're going to get more than that. I think and that's another thing that AK always does, right? Is that he waits and the value takes a dip. Like let's say Lonzo gets hurt at the end of the season or in training camp or the beginning of the season, right? Like, yeah, he has a more team-friendly contract, which means that a team has to send you less back, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the value is going to change dramatically, at least not in my opinion. Imagine getting robbed by the Kings twice and you don't move an injury-prone player for a first. Well, I don't think we got robbed by the Kings. As far as not in the DeMar DeRozan deal, DeMar was a free agent, and the Bulls couldn't sign him back. So they got the fact that they got anything back for an unrestricted free agent, I don't think you got robbed for it. Now, they didn't maximize their opportunity to get more assets back because they didn't want to take back a bad contract and then get the first-round pick, the protected first-round pick. So in that sense, they failed a little, but they didn't get robbed in the DeMar deal. Now, the Zach LaVine deal, man, that's going to be one of those deals. The only way that I think people will turn and look at the Zach LaVine deal as a positive is if we luck up and that first round pick ends up number 1 through 4, right? But even then, if it ended up 1 through 4, we would have kept it anyway. So then is it really? It's a lot that goes into that. Taking a first for Zoe would have softened the blow to take less to unload Vooch to Golden State. Exactly. The front office makes terrible picks and makes terrible moves. AK-ism, Haize hoodies, Haize fitteds. That's is this a fitted? Yeah, this one is a fitted. We have a bad owner, bad president plus GM, and terrible head coach, and the roster of guards who can't shoot while we were promised more shooting. Remember when we were promised length and defense prior? Shame. I mean, we are shooting the ball considerably better than what we have the previous years, but 99% of what you said is factual, right? This front office clearly doesn't value picks at all, and it's insane because even if they didn't want picks, they could still allocate them and flip them for other things that do have value, and that's the problem with this front office. They have no ability for forethought like that. They just don't. That's what really good front offices look at. It's like, let's stack assets, and it's not just about how you use, if you're going to use that asset flat out, how you combine that with other things, right? Waking up to this news feels like I've been woken up with a sledgehammer, bro. It's crazy, man. Doesn't Zoe become more valuable in the next 2 years with his lower contract number? Not necessarily. It makes it easier to move. That doesn't necessarily make it more value because he's still an injury-prone player. You're not going to get more back for a first than Zoe, and especially because Zoe isn't going to be your starter, right? So he's still your bench point guard. I just don't see Zoe's value going up extremely higher. You get a first-round pick back. Reportedly was unprotected. I don't think you get more back than an unprotected first-round pick for Zoe. I just don't think that. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, right? If it turns out that next year at the trade deadline, we move Zoe and we get a first and a second, a first and 2 seconds, cool, great. I just don't think that that's going to be the case, though. This is kind of single-minded thinking, but this news isn't really a surprise. Honestly, the thing Acme does behind closed doors, always shitty. This is kind of like a secret Billy extension. Man, listen. And that may be the next thing coming down the pipeline as well. Like, do not be surprised at all if Billy Donovan gets extended. I know everybody's like, oh my God, after this loss, we got to fire him. Do not be surprised if he gets another extension, man. I'm just saying. So, it is what it is, man. This kind of single-minded thing. Oh, I already read that one. What's up? What just happened and went down? Nothing just happened. We just found out that the Bulls reportedly turned down a first-round pick for Lonzo Ball at the trade deadline, which is bananas considering that we're supposed to be in the place where we're stacking assets to start rebuilding our young core, right? It's crazy. Billy going to start Zoe at the 3 next year. No, he's not. He's not going to start Zoe at the 3 next year. Haize, what's wrong with this organization? They always find a way to trade our best players for way less value, and it almost seems like they're not trying to build a competitive team. I don't know. I have no idea, man. I have no idea. It would be preposterous to give him another extension. No, he signed his extension 2 years ago. Next year is the last year on his deal. So this is around the time that he would be getting an extension, brother, because next year is the last year on his contract. What it do, bro? I feel like we have no light in sight. What are we doing here? We do have a light in sight. His name is Matas Buzelis. I mean, that is right now, right? And we have a pick in a very deep draft coming up this year as well. It's going to probably be about top 10, but that's really the only light in the tunnel, to be 100% honest with you. Other than that, it's a bunch of struggle there, brother. It's a bunch of struggle. I respectfully disagree. I think a lot of teams have a hard time cobbling together $10 million in contracts without giving up role players. A lot easier. I didn't say it was not a lot easier. Listen to what I'm saying, Tom. I said that the value doesn't go up. You're not getting more back than a first-round pick. Now, yes, you may have to take less back in salary, but you're not getting more than a first round pick back. Those are two different conversations you're having. Yes, it makes them easier to move, but that doesn't mean that a team's going to offer more than a first round pick back just because his contract is lower. Just think about that. Rumor has it. Yeah. And Tom, here's the thing. No, you get more assets back when you take back bad salary. So because his contract is easier to match, it means you don't have to take back bad salary. One of the reasons why that the Bulls were offered a first round pick is because they had to take long-term bad salary back. That's where the value in the first round pick is. You don't get more when you don't take back as much. A $10 million contract is easier to match. Therefore, a team doesn't have to give you as much because you're not taking on a high risk. Think about it this way. The Bulls took back the lower contract in the DeMar DeRozan signing trade, but the team in the Spurs that took back Harrison Barnes, they got the first round pick. We got the second round pick because we didn't take back as much salary. That's how you got to think about it. I'm surprised the Bulls fans aren't protesting to get rid of the GM, Acme and Billy over here. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But all right, y'all. Thank you guys for tuning in, man. We'll still be here live for the post game. It's going to be about 30 minutes later than usual. Make sure you guys are following us at Bull Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. BullCentralPod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We're the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. And I'll see you guys later on tonight. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.